First of all, I want to thank Rachel for joining me today to speak more about mental health issues and more of self-help and self-care and things like this. A very nice friend to talk, definitely from India. And I will definitely like Rachel to introduce a little bit about yourself. What do you do? And how did you engage on doing mental health activist things like this?
Hello, yeah. Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much for that introduction and invite onto this for this particular project. It's like a wonderful initiative. So, my name is Rachel Jaiseelan, and I'm from India. I'm a mental health professional here, a psychologist, and I've been working in this field for almost about 8 years now here in Bangalore in India. So I've completed my master's in clinical psychology, and then while I chose to pursue research after that, so I'm currently in my final leg of my PhD. So fingers crossed that I get that.
Sure.
But my journey here has been quite personal as well. I was in engineering first for a year. I gave a stint in engineering, and then that's when I realized that that's when that even interest and mood has a lot to do with your persistence and your productivity at a task. And I shifted from my dad's alma mater to my mom's alma mater to start off with my psychology education. And it's been a wonderful time since then. Most of my work involves children to young adults. And I engage with both diagnostic testing for children to young adults in learning disabilities, emotional, behavioral disorders. And I also work in the field of premarital relationship distress and counseling. So that's my domain. And through my mental health page, we've been trying to spread awareness, because the more the awareness, the more people would actually understand that this is something that can be easily addressed. It can be managed if they know where to go and how to access help. So that's what I've been engaged in for the last couple of months, especially.
Understand. Very nice background. There's a lot of experience there. So definitely I engaged the right person. So first of all, I really want to discuss about this mental health as in what is mental health? Like what is mental health, and what does this person, like a mental health issue person, what do they go through basically?
Okay. So, to begin with, mental health is emotional wellness. It's
Okay.
like a state of balance when a person feels like they are equipped to deal with stress effectively, they are able to take better decisions, they are able to be productive in their day to day social and occupational life, both. And it's like I said, it's a state of balance, right?
Yep.
Between your
Exactly.
mind, your body, both is also required. One influences the other. And there's a lot of emphasis which has been given on physical health for a lot of years, that it's all about the body, but the mind has a huge role to play as well. So just like if you can imagine a balloon, okay, and then if you keep pressing the balloon a couple of times, it's not going to burst. And different balloons probably have different their strength is different.
Exactly.
So some can withstand the pressure for a longer period of time, some balloons would just burst even if you just lightly touch it as well. So the human is still the same, right? We react differently to different stressors. Some people are already vulnerable towards acquiring mental health conditions, right? So it's a state of emotional wellness, a state of psychological wellness where there is a balance. Now, if there are concerns, if people have mental health concerns, it can exhibit in various ways depending on which type of disorder or distress we're specifically talking about. For example, we have anxiety, we have depression, we could have anger issues, there could be impulse control issues, they could have suicidal ideations. So there is a wide range in ways it could present. And I think we could probably, if we go into the discussion of maybe one or two specific conditions, it would
Yes.
be easier to dissect it.
Exactly. And mostly people are telling that, they don't understand, like, when they are in a mental state issues, they don't know what is the real problem. Like, are they facing depression? Are they facing anxiety, panic attack? Actually, these are the three main common, right, Rachel? This is the three main common
Yes,
that we are
yes.
facing in, right? Like, what is the difference actually?
Okay. So I think I spoke to you about stress, right? So stress
Yep.
is a normal reaction to any kind of challenges we might face in life. For
All right.
example, beating the traffic could be stress for some people,
Yeah.
and an examination could be for another person, whereas a deadline could be a stress for another person. But all these stressors, once they go away, the anxiety related to the stress would also go once the event is completed. Once we complete the exam, or once we get to the other end of the road, or once we finish performing, we no longer feel that kind of distress or anxiety or worry related to that. But if it is persistent, that's when it is actually coming under the category of mental health concerns itself. Anxiety, normal low mood is actually normal, right? For example, if you lose something, or if you lose a person, grief is normal, right? We
Exactly.
are supposed to grieve a loss, but it becomes dysfunctional or a significant concern only if it is persistent or occurs for a long period of time. So this is one common thing between all mental health concerns, whether it's anxiety or if it's depression or even if it's psychotic episodes. It has to be persistent,
Right.
continuous. Okay.
Understand.
Anxiety is usually categorized by excessive worrying and irritability, and there could be difficulty in focus, concentration, and difficulty in decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Excessive worry, repetitive thoughts is what mainly characterizes anxiety.
Oh,
Whereas with depression, the significant thing would be low mood. Persistent low mood would be what is significant in depression. And it could present with other symptoms like guilt, feelings of helplessness,
okay.
changes in appetite, in sleep patterns
Oh,
that could present in the case of depression. But ideally, these would be the baseline, I think, easily. What people are more likely to notice behavioral changes than
yes.
differences in their thoughts, right? One way is when relatives or some your friends are likely to notice saying, you have lost a lot of weight. Is anything happened? Or we keep calling you and you don't keep coming out anywhere. Is everything okay? So there will be changes in their social activities, their desire to participate in social activities, because motivation itself will become low. Most of the individuals would say that they feel tired. Fatigue is something which is very common there. Um, they will feel like even the smallest of tasks, like paying attention to themselves, hygiene, self-care, that it requires a lot of effort. They would not feel like getting out of the bed in the morning. So this presentation, and sometimes in the extreme cases suicidal ideations, will present in the case of depression.
All
Anxiety
right.
is more thought related. There are behavioral changes, but the main characteristic is excessive worry, overthinking,
All right.
anticipation of the worst. This would all feature in anxiety. And
All
I
right.
think you had asked about panic attacks as well, right?
Yes.
So panic attacks is like this intense feeling of fear which can happen suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to have a trigger, and that's what scares the people the most, because when it happens without a trigger, they do not know when it's going to happen the next time. So they're always on a state of vigilance,
Mm-hmm.
looking for when that bomb is going to fall. And this a panic
Yeah.
attack can last between a few seconds to about few minutes. But in that intense period of fear, their heart would be racing really fast. There would be
Mm-hmm.
uh, maybe a feeling of nausea, feeling like they could faint, heavy breathing, and some people describe it. It's like, I'm going to have a heart attack, right? And this
Uh-huh.
intense period happens for such a short period, and then it would immediately die down.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that intensity and the fact that they're not able to point out what could be the trigger, that itself causes people to worry and anticipate. So you could see
Exactly.
that one episode kind of feeds into the next.
Yeah, understand that. And I'm just wondering, like, we talk about this kind of things, right? Like, how can a family member, like, if you have a family member who is going through this kind of issues, what is the best way that they can support them?
Support them. Okay. So let me begin with what are the kind of changes you might see in a family member who might be going through a mental health concern. So once you're
Uh-huh.
able to pick out the signs, then you will be able to intervene, right?
Okay.
So the most common thing you would happen that would happen is there would be significant changes in their behavior, right?
Uh-huh.
For example, let's say a person used to cook a lot and that's a part of their day-to-day routine, but all of a sudden what was normal for them and what is routine for someone is changing. They are
Mm-hmm.
no longer showing interest in what they used to engage in before. That's one of the things that you could look out for.
All right.
Social withdrawal is something else you could look out for in your family members. If they had been very outgoing, participating family members, then if that changes, where they start making excuses for not wanting to go out, wanting to stay in bed, locked up in the room, then that's something you can keep a mark on. Okay, there are some changes. Sleep eating routines is something which everybody easily observes. Staying
Yeah.
up late in the night. A lot of parents have told me that even though their child is not aware that the parents have a tab on them, parents do tell them that they know that their child only is able to fall asleep by 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're not sure why the child is not able to sleep. Child says, I'm sleeping fine, but the next day you could see the puffy eyes, maybe red
Yes.
eyes, and very irritable. So there are some noticeable changes like this. I think moms are more likely to notice changes in weight, appetite, that she's not eating as well as before, or eating too much. Both of that could also be signs of depression, eating too less or too much as compared to what you're so all of this is not attributed to your like diet and exercise regime that people do, right? This is independent of that. It's
Yeah.
purely mood. And like for example, where this now in the case of say suicidal ideations, if a person is simultaneously developing that, then they might throw out some signs like some statements like what is the point of life, life would be better if I was not around, I'm sure you would find somebody else. Things like this would be some signs that this person is preparing or anticipating the worst or preparing for the worst. And language is one of the indicators again that they might be going through a tough time. Now, coming to what you asked me, what is it that you could do when you have a family member who's distressed or going through a tough time? So, Natasha, I think the easiest thing to do, which people find it difficult to do, is listen.
Exactly.
We do not listen. We give advice.
I
And
agree.
that's something that we should actually steer clear from. Uh, People have given themselves plenty of advice before they even came to that particular state of mind. So we need to listen and listen non judgmentally. And that's another thing that people suffer from. They're not able to listen without judgments. And judgments doesn't necessarily have to be verbal judgments, no, like, oh, you're so weak. It doesn't have to be that. It can even come from your body language about how you're treating the other person, right?
Exactly.
Like, let's say a person is feeling really low and says, I don't want to come out today, I'm not in the mood. Just like turning off and going or ignoring them, even if you're not saying anything or inquiring further about what the concern actually is, just the body language alone could make the person feel that nobody cares,
Exactly.
right? So
That's
the
very
first
true.
thing is to listen non-judgmentally, and put out a word for them, right? Observation is very important. It's not just about going and asking your family member, are you okay? But the
Mhm.
best things you can do is to provide evidence to the family members, to make themselves, to make them understand that someone is noticing, that someone cares and notices. So instead of telling a person, are you okay, or you're not okay, that's so vague. But to tell a person, hey, you know what, you used to enjoy cooking before, but I see that you're not enjoying it as much. Is there
Yes.
anything that is worrying you? So when you're specific, the client themselves sometimes, or the family member would notice that, yeah, like that's a specific example, I can relate to it. That's true. Because with mood issues, right, Natasha, anxiety
Hmm.
or depression, the people who are experiencing, it's not like they're consciously choosing to let go of whatever they like. It
Exactly.
just happens. So it's important that the loved ones look out for one another, and tell them that, okay, is there something that I can do to make it better for you? Is there something that you would like to talk about? Or is there any way I can contribute to taking off some stressor at home? Do you want to go for a walk? Something like that, where you don't tell them what to do, but you are with them while they are doing it, is very important. So it's
Exactly.
not just taking your hand and pointing them in the direction that they have to walk, but holding their hands and taking them along with you. Because anxiety or depression, people do not have the mental strength to push themselves through. That is why
Exactly.
it's better to hold their hands. And I'm not talking about physically holding their hand, but telling them that, if you want to talk to someone, let me get the number of a counselor for you. I will come with you to the counselor. So something like that will make them feel that somebody cares, they are with them, and they're not ignoring or letting go of them just because they have a mental health concern, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of taboo related to that. So people fear talking about it itself because of that. So just being there for them and listening non-judgmentally will help.
All right. And also, I have a question. Like,
Yeah.
some people say that, oh, depression only happens when you reach 30 years old, or maybe when you reach to certain age, then you will have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And some even told me that, oh, only rich people will have depression, only poor people will have depression.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know which age range, and is it true, what are they stating, whether rich people gets mental health issues, poor people get mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, who will be facing all these
Okay.
issues?
Right. So different age groups come with different stressors,
Exactly.
and with different socioeconomic status likewise come different stressors, right? The type of need for example, for a person who has who's coming from a low socioeconomic status, their stressors might be related to finance, safety, food. The stressors could be related to that. But when you're coming from a higher socioeconomic status, your stress could be related to financial decisions in your career. It could be relationship, and likewise it could even be like a big investment gone wrong, something like that, right? So the nature of the stressor is very, very different across all socioeconomic status. Now if you look at the middle socioeconomic status, middle, upper, even they have their own difficulties. So this is a period of transition, right?
Exactly.
Let's say for example, a family who is actually towards the lower socioeconomic status, and because of hard work they are progressing, their family status is improving, but that's a transition, right, from
Yep.
one particular state of finances to another. Any kind of transitions will also come associated with stressors.
All right.
So one time you can look out for mental health concerns in any age group, any socioeconomic status, is a period of transition.
Mm.
So, for example, in midlife, right, midlife crisis, what they call as a midlife crisis, midlife is a transition. Retirement is a transition. Getting married is a transition. Getting promoted is a transition.
Exactly.
Somewhere people relate only negative events to anxiety and depression. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be so. You can even get promoted and shift to a new country where you're the head of an organization and still have or be vulnerable towards having a mental health concern. So I would say rather that each age group, I've worked with children as young as 5 and 6 who have significant mental health concerns. So childhood depression is on the rise right now. Earlier, we would say that only people who are around 30, 35. Now, 18 to 25 is a group that is very prone to depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
The elder population. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the main age range, right? 18 to 25, 30 is where the mental health concerns are more likely to start showing significantly. But if you look at the age range in the extremities, right, really young children and the vulnerable elderly population, they are more likely to develop severe mental health concerns if there is a stressor. But the
Uh-huh.
common age group is this 18 to 25 or 30 is where mental health concerns are more likely to start showing.
All right. Okay. This is leading me to another question. I have a very good friend.
Mm-hmm.
He is actually he have everything. Basically, he have a good job. He's doing well. There is nothing wrong. He has a very supportive family, and it's everything is good. If you want to ask me, but he's feeling that there's something is empty there. you
Mm-hmm.
you get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no satisfaction, like there's something wrong with
Mm-hmm.
him,
Mm-hmm.
and he could not. What makes him more depressed is that he could not find the source of it.
Yeah.
Because like everything seems so perfect that he's thinking that what else I need in life, like why am I feeling still so low and so down?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any explanation for this?
Right. So, from the explanation that you have given yourself, Natasha, this
Uh,
person could be also someone who is very externally driven by
uh,
achievements, maybe awards, by people's
okay.
praises, and then your eyes are always focused on the outside, right?
Uh-huh.
And we live in a society which kind of rewards productivity. So I will try and explain what he might be going through with a similar analogy back here in India. Okay,
All right.
so our culture is almost like they put people up on a pedestal if you are productive. If you
Ah,
achieve, you are God's gift to earth. Okay, if you succeed, if you get good marks. So that's how we have been brought up, right? Right from like kindergarten, a child is already in multiple classes trying to learn coding when they're 6 years old,
mhm,
and French when they're 7 years old. There's so much things to do,
mhm,
right? And we do not take the time to slow down and
mhm.
focus on ourselves, which would involve our own coping skills or our own stress relief methods, our own self care. Self care is both physical and mental health care, both. Are we grounded? Are we grateful? Are we appreciative?
Uh-huh.
Do we spend time for ourselves? Do we meditate?
Mhm.
Are we okay with silence? Are you okay with not doing anything for a day?
Uh-huh.
But we are always externally driven, right? And after just now during the lockdown, especially, I used to
Yes.
get a lot of calls at the beginning where youngsters between 18 to 30, 35 would call up saying, oh my God, I slept for 2 extra hours today. I feel so guilty. Like, what am I not doing? I feel like this sense of emptiness. Should I feel this way? Because we have this standard of, we always compare ourselves. Comparison, social comparison is one thing that can bring us down, right?
Exactly.
How much ever you achieve, you always want to do something more, which is
Mhm.
good. But we also need to slow down and take care of ourselves. Are we happy with what we are doing? Sometimes we would have achieved so much because we might have started at a very young age that some point people start to question, is this all there is to life? Like, what's happening? Am I getting a sense of satisfaction from what I'm doing, or am I making other people happy through what I'm doing? So there's a lot of these existential questions come up at different stages in life, and get that can throw up this void that I don't have answers. And in any case of mental health concern like anxiety and depression, when we have clients, one thing they would come to us knowing what their symptoms are, but what drives them nuts is they don't know why they have it.
Exactly.
Right? And for each person, it works differently. For some people, the concern could be based in the external, like constant presence in a high functioning environment is like a constant stressor. Or if I'm in a very difficult marriage consistently, that's my environment is a stressful marriage, then that could be the stressor that is causing my low mood. But sometimes it can be internal. For example, even a person who's high achieving can have low self esteem. And when they no longer have regular achievements like before, their self esteem will take a hit and they won't know why they feel low as well. So sometimes the answer is on the inside and sometimes it's on the outside. And that's what counseling and psychotherapy does, which is helping people find out what is the source and helping them have an understanding of
All right.
what happened and why they're experiencing something and therefore what to do.
All right. I understand that now. And the most popular question, what kind of self-help that they can do when they are facing this kind of issues?
Self-care. Okay. So I think I would like to begin with self-compassion. We are always taught to be kind to others, to be nice to others, and focusing on the self is always passed off as selfishness, right? Or narcissism. She's very self-occupied, no? Too much self-love, this person, self-obsessed. Even for that, people label it. This labeling culture ought to change. We need to be compassionate towards ourselves and take care of ourselves as well. For example, it's okay to take a day off if you're feeling really stressed. If you have the luxury of it, if you're able to compensate and designate and figure out how the work can be done, take a day off. Take extra long showers if you have to. One priority which I usually put across to my clients is keep a healthy time away from social media, away from your phone.
Exactly.
Take a break from technology, right? Because a lot of things which we see out there is curated content. People have enough time to put out all the good, but nobody puts out the bad, right?
Yes, yes.
They give this impression that everything is perfect in their lives, and then an average person would engage in social comparison. He's achieving so much. Even in the lockdown, he's doing a degree. I'm not doing anything, right? Social comparison, if you can progress with social comparison, that's great. But with social comparison, if we bring ourselves down, that's not okay. Okay. And eat healthy, focus on your own if you want to learn a new skill unrelated to your work, then do it, right? Like things like this would actually I would also say gratitude. Practice the art of gratitude, appreciation. Appreciate yourself. Don't look into the mirror and only say that oh, my complexion is so dark, but also look into the mirror and say, you know what, I have a good dressing style. Praise yourself as well. Use positive affirmations. Eat a healthy meal. Exercise. And that I as well as exercise. Take a 5 minute, 10 minute, 15-minute walk, even if it's by yourself. Get a breath of fresh air. Learn to process the environment and not just race through it like you're trying to win some kind of a competition, right? Be
Exactly.
grounded. So even it's like when you're cooking, if cooking is something that you love, you don't have to cook just to feed a person and then look at it as a goal. But when you enjoy it, practice just being in that moment and enjoying the art that you're just exhibiting out there. Just like while you're cutting the onions, just be surprised that, oh my God, I'm tearing up, how wonderful this is. Something like that, just slowing down and appreciating the little
Yeah.
good things that you have in life will bring a lot of positivity in your life. And that's some of the best things that I feel you could do towards taking care about for yourself.
I really can relate when you said about social media thing. Like
Mhm.
we often compare ourselves to people in the social media. I mean, like everyone you'll be following the famous public figures, models and things like that. What they always put up on the social media is all their good days. But
Yeah.
when they have bad days, they do not put there. So you don't know. And all you see is people are just posting good things about themselves and things like that. And we often, it's human nature. We tend to compare our life with them.
Mhm.
I want to be like that. I want to own that car. I want you are kind of putting your whole expectations to a different level.
True.
And actually, to be honest, that is exhausting. Am I right?
Yes.
Thinking
Yes.
about it, it makes you exhausting, and it makes you to lose touch with reality.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
start to have your own imagination world, and you slowly, you lose touch with your reality. And what I always do is, when I know that I'm losing touch, I just shut down. Like, all my social medias are gone. I will just go and have a walk, just walk around. Like, I have a dog, so I'll just bring my dog around for walk. I For a moment, I feel like, okay, this is reality. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, how can a social media put someone like that? But that is the thing, like, we spend social media most of our time,
True.
like, if you notice, little bit things we upload, little bit things we share. So it's
Yes.
already part of our life, which
Yes.
actually is supposed to be a good thing. But in a way, people are, they are using it also in publicity wise.
That's true.
So yeah, that is what I think. In the social media part, you said it was very correct, very accurate.
That part which you brought up,
And
Natasha, that why we are letting, why is it so addictive that we get carried away? Is that on social media we get immediate validation, right? We get immediate
yeah,
little hearts on Instagram, likes on Facebook,
exactly,
and we are in such a fast-paced world that we have got used to receiving immediate validation. Back when
exactly.
we were in school, right, we had to wait for like an entire year before the teacher calls our parents and says, "Good student." All right. But now we don't have to wait that long to hear that we are good or bad. And when you know that other people are just getting it for a photo or for a quote or for a video of their song, they just want to put it out there to receive immediate validation. But in the process, what you're doing is you're giving the key to your happiness to a world that you do not know. You're giving
All
it to
right,
strangers, and you're
that's
telling them, you get to tell me if I feel good about myself today or not. And
yes,
that's where
okay,
we are going wrong. We are
exactly,
letting other people dictate our happiness. It's okay if they're a part of what dictates our happiness, but some people give it completely to them, and they let go of that control which they need to have over their own happiness. I can validate myself if I want to. I don't need someone else typing below my picture that you look good, or just recently I came across, I've been in touch with this author who had put up these screenshots. She just is a very happy person. She puts up a lot of videos of her having fun with her kids. It's like very clean, fun loving videos of her relationship with her child. And then she has put up these screenshots of how this thing about body shaming, and these people have commented there saying, your legs don't match your face, which don't match your arms. I mean, why would you do that, right? So
exactly.
that's a lot of negativity out there which drags people down when you give that key to your happiness completely to another person. Hold some of it for yourself as well.
Exactly. And also, Resha, can you explain a little bit about how does the citizens in India, how do they look into mental health in general? Like, how do people respond to it? And do you think that there is many people coming forward for help?
Okay. There's been a very good progress in terms of people's openness towards mental health,
Mhm.
but that again is restricted to only urban cities. The urban cities, the awareness is definitely growing. But in India, you know that more than 60% of our population does not live in the cities,
All
right?
right.
So there is a whole segment of population which is restricted from mental health access. And even if they have the access, the awareness towards that same crowd is very little.
All
So
right.
concepts such as he's crazy and the behavioral actions, no, like throwing a person out of the village if they are showing any kind of signs of being
Ah,
mad, as they label it, or practicing witchcraft. All of this is still there, but we need to look at the part where it's, the glass is half full as well. So in
yep.
urban cities, there is definitely much more of an openness towards mental health. There is a taboo. I can see that because even when parents bring children to see me, somewhere they say, you know what, um, my child is a good child. Nothing can be wrong with him, right? He just
Ah,
wants to talk to a psychologist. Fine, let him talk, but there is nothing wrong. My child is fine. right? There is this rigidity that mental illness or mental health concern means you are flawed, and nobody wants to be flawed or labeled imperfect. They're okay with having something like a physical concern, like whether it is cholesterol for the rest of their lives, or if it's um, cancer or a bad skin condition. All of this they're okay with for the rest of their lives, because we have external products that you can somehow hide it, or you're not alone, right? Physical conditions or illnesses, people talk about it left, right, and center, right? But mental health, it's not like that. Somehow they still want to hide it. But I'm actually I'm quite I don't know, I find it rewarding that more people are definitely reaching out, especially during the lockdown. Being a consultant, I can say that our referrals have doubled, right? So people are coming through. Sometimes there is this concern about maybe where to go, not knowing
Yes.
whether it's okay to go for access. Am I being silly and just two 2 days I'm feeling bland? I feel like I want to talk to someone. Is it okay? What will my friends think of me? Do I need to tell my parents? So there are a lot of these thoughts as well. But definitely, they are coming forward in urban cities. So I can speak for urban cities. There is a progress there, and there's more opportunities for people to access mental health facilities and services.
All right, I understand that. And another thing, I think you have touched that question is about where can they find help? Like, is there any organizations or just give us an explanation whether government do offer the help, like organizations or what? What is the cost? And also, I'm sure that there is different type of mental health. People are dealing, like suicidal and things like that.
Yes, yes.
Maybe you can explain on the cost and what organization is that?
Okay. So we have, I think, broadly speaking, there would be three categories of mental health professionals,
Okay.
right? So we have psychiatrists,
Uh-huh.
and then we have counselors, and
Yes.
then we have psychotherapists. So we
Yes.
have three types of mental health professionals, and they all charge differently based on their expertise, their number of years of service, and whether it's a private or if it's a government related institution. So
Uh-huh.
to begin with, government institutions in every state are definitely there.
All
There
right.
is a wing for psychiatry, for mental health. There is a wing for that in hospitals.
All right.
People may not be aware of it, but it is definitely there. One. So
Okay.
then there comes the taboo of it's like almost I don't want to approach that wing, right? I don't want to go into the loony bin, but it's there. And especially, for example, in Karnataka, I stay very close to the institute which offers the service here. It's
Uh-huh.
called as NIMHANS here in Bangalore, and they are an institute for mental health alone,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's got a brilliant range of services. Some of the top people in India are educated here,
Uh,
and they have wings where, for example, there are days in which, let's say, once a week, they have a free clinic where anybody could walk in or they could prior book an appointment, and on that day, there is no charge for the services.
mhm.
So, a lot of institutions like that run services like this, saying that there will be a particular day where there is free service. My clinic where I work, for example, we run a division, a foundation division, where those who are not able to afford the services are given free consultations and free services. So most of, I would say that at least 50% of institutions here would have some facility where people who are not able to afford it will also be able to take some kind of a service from them or get guidance or direction from those centers, right? It's not like if you call an institution and say I need this, that people will say no, you're not able to afford us, so goodbye,
All
right?
right.
You would still be guided towards, I think, private professionals, we are all so connected here that if we are not able to accommodate the client, we refer them according to their budget as well,
All right.
right? And a psychiatrist is someone who prescribes medication mainly,
Mhm.
and so they are like doctors who are qualified doctors, and then they do residential training for mental health after they qualify with a medical degree. So
Mhm.
they prescribe medication for emotional distress. So people who go to them would usually be those who are experiencing intense symptoms,
All
and
right.
it's significantly disturbing them, and it disturbs them in domains that they're not able to exercise control over. Like if there's suddenly for like 2 3 days no sleep at all, and you know how crazy it can get if we don't get enough sleep for
Yes.
such a long period of time. So then it starts affecting their work, their health, etc. So then psychiatrists will go in for a medical management there, or if there is intense if there's suicidal ideations, or if a person is causing harm to someone else or the danger of causing harm to themselves, then they pitch in. Psychiatrists will also give direction for treatment, right? So they
Uh-huh.
have this primary analysis, they focus on diagnosis,
All right.
psychiatrists. Whereas if you have counselors focus on a more action and behavior oriented approach, and they deal with minor, smaller life adjustment concerns or life skills. If you're finding it difficult to adjust in your work, or if you are, let's say there's some stress and your coping method is not that great, you're just not organized, you're not able to get your life together, there's small hiccups like this, then counselors do take it up and they have a more action oriented approach. So a stint with a counselor would be, I think, maximum of about 6 months. You might work with a couple of sessions, maybe 10 sessions or so. You'll be better guided. They offer a lot of guidance. Whereas therapy focuses not only on the present, but it can also help you look at the past. So if you're having some deep rooted issues, which has been long term coming, let's say that you are not okay in a relationship right now because of many breakups in the past and a fear of abandonment, and you have a difficult family history, then therapy would focus on something more holistic like that, long term. So that is the difference. If you look at the price range, there are places where you can even get services at 100 rupees per hour. So there are free services, free consultations. There are mental health based apps where you can chat with counselors, get guidance. That's available. There are telecounseling services. They also offer right from free services. There are places which offer free 24/7. There are places which are free on 1 day a week, on 2 days a week, or sometimes if you are not able to afford it, then the organization itself will direct you towards those counselors who are performing the service for pro bono.
Okay.
On the extremes, the average range for a psychologist or a counselor would be between 800 Indian rupees to about 1,500 for a session.
All right.
And one of the questions which came up to me at least was, why do we pay so much for just 1 hour, right? It's just like, it's too much for just 1 hour. And I would usually tell them, see, you're not just paying for that 1 hour alone. It's also about the takeaway, because with the takeaway, what difficulties that has been causing you this much of distress is also getting back into place. You're equipped with skills that will help you manage long term. At the same time, walking into a counseling session, you're a psychologist doesn't just walk into a session unprepared. We have our own 1 hour or so of preparation, reading up, updating our methods, our skills, expertise, all of that. So what you're actually investing in is your mental health, and you need to take that seriously as well. We are okay with spending, thousands of rupees if we have like a stomach infection, but we're not willing to invest that for our mental health. That kind of rigidity in the mindset needs to change, right? This, I feel, I know I'm biased as a psychologist, but I feel this is a very good investment. It's something which is there with you for life. And that way, we definitely have services which are affordable for various ranges of socioeconomic status.
Understand. And also, I wonder about how does Ayurvedic really helps in mental health care? Like some people say that if you smell lavender, it gives you sort of calmness. And some people say that, like dimming up the lights, makes you feel like calm. I mean, like how helpful is this actually? Is it really helpful?
Well, that is not my domain per se, but I think the belief system of a person also has a strong role to play. Just like some people are more prone to homeopathy, even those methods of treatment are able to address mental health. It's more about the theory on which each of these, whether it's homeopathy or allopathy, Ayurveda, and we talk about psychological medicine, they all come from different orientations. So if you look at psychology, we speak about the balance between the mind, body, and how that relates to behavior. Ayurveda will kind of talk about it'll have like more of a holistic approach between the mind, body, and soul, and senses, and how we take in and invest in ourselves, and the flow, the connection between these different domains that I mentioned. So if that is the belief that people come from, then I would not be able to say that no, Ayurveda does not work, right?
Yeah.
So just like say, if I have a fever, right, and I take a crocin or I take a paracetamol, after 1 or 2 days, I know I'm okay. Let's say that I go by my grandmother's remedies and I take a cup of turmeric milk 3 days, I would still be okay. It's still going to work. So Ayurveda definitely has one strong division for mental health, and there's a lot of research which shows that people do benefit from it. It can work on releasing negative energies, on For example, there's something about cleansing the blood, that
Uh-huh.
unhealthy blood can cause a lot of anger, it can cause a lot of anxiety and low mood.
Mm.
So that can also work, right? So it's about the belief system that you come from. Whichever domain you choose, the takeaway messages: don't neglect your mental health.
Exactly. And it also depends on the individual person, whether it
Yes.
works or it doesn't work. Like some people, they are okay, they feel good, but some people, maybe it's not really helpful. So that is how
True.
they should seek for more help,
Yes.
to look into this kind of method to figure out, and rather
And
than
there are
getting this.
various alternatives as well, right? It's not just even psychological medicine. I have people asking me, is it only medicine? And they somehow don't want to take medicine for mental health. Medicine
Yeah.
for everything else is okay, but no medicine for mental health,
Yes.
which is again a belief system, and that's okay.
Mm.
Like I mentioned, psychiatric medicine, it can help with the milder issues also, but psychiatrists just don't prescribe it left, right, and center blindly, right? If
Yeah.
there are more intense symptoms which needs immediate management, then that's a good option. I can also, if I have the time, if I have the energy, and if it's not causing me significant distress, some people choose to do the long term process of therapy and counseling. And some people don't want to go for traditional methods at all, so they would engage in something like expressive arts and painting
Exactly.
and music therapy. So
Mm.
there are so many alternatives which is there at your doorstep right now. Especially I think from the two cities that we are signing in from, we do have opportunities to gain access for mental health, and we should not neglect it.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, I guess everything is good. I already covered up everything already. We're already coming to an end as well. So before I end this, I just would like to ask you, what is the message that you would like to reach out for both mental health warriors, the one who's facing mental health issues, and also to the society as well?
Mhm. Okay. I think we need to focus more on love,
Yep.
right? Loving yourself and loving one another for just who we are as people. And in a lot of ways, I think a significant part of our distress would get back under control if we just learn how to do something we are naturally inclined to, which is love unconditionally, ourselves and others,
Exactly.
irrespective of what distress or physical illness or ailments or how they look. And if there is someone who is going through a tough time, listen without judgment, show genuine care, show
Exactly.
genuine love, and tell them that you're not going to leave them because of who they are. That's not the
Exactly.
message you give across to them, that we are going to leave you because of who you are, about the way you're behaving. But if it's causing distress, we're going to be there to ensure that you get help, and we still love you. I think love is the biggest message I can give right now for either mental
Exactly.
health warriors, that there is hope, and there are professionals that you can reach out for. There are websites, there are apps, there are Instagram mental health pages, there are Facebook mental health pages. So there are support groups which are available. So all of these are resources that are available. At the same time, be it a warrior or even a mental health caregiver or the society itself, learn to love yourself and others. Take some time out, enjoy the environment, enjoy the breeze, take some time for yourself, be kind to yourselves. And that I feel is the best message that I can give to everyone out there.
All right, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining me in
Thank
to
you.
speak behalf of, especially for the beautiful country of India. Thank you so much for wanting to speak. And I also hope that people will take a good message out of this. And hopefully, this video is filled with all the questions. So that is the chat session between me and Miss Rachel. It was very informative. I hope you guys will understand whatever that she have pointed out, especially the part that she talks about reaching help. I hope that we all able to understand on this. I will also share her profile to all of you. Hopefully that she will be able to help to suggest, or reply back to all your inquiries if you have, and also her feed sharing about these mental health situations and things like that is also very easy to understand. So I will definitely link her profile at the end of this video session, and you guys do, if you have any questions, do reach her out as well. And finally, we are coming to the very last session, which will be tomorrow. The last interview session I'll be having with Miss Nilu. She is a mental mental health activist currently in Iran. She will be sharing all about mental health and also about body shaming issue and how does it relate to somebody's confidence, somebody's appearance, and how to come out from the body shaming issues. And it's a very informative thing as well for those who are struggling mental health issues, and also for those who are struggling body shaming issues and you want to come out from the shell. And as someone who have experienced body shaming, Miss Nilu itself will be sharing a lot of information on that, and she will share a little story about her being body shamed and how it dragged her, but how did she bounce out from there. So do look out for tomorrow's session. Till I see you guys tomorrow.